The leading proponents of the anti-Semitism myth. This idea that there was this huge anti-Semitism crisis in the party. When actually a study by a Jewish institute in London
pretty obvious
found that the Labour
the
Party
heart
was
of the left is...
It was the least anti-Semitic party. The only party that was less anti-Semitic than the Labour Party was the Green Party. And they found the most anti-Semitic one was obviously UKIP, but they also found the Tory party had higher levels of anti-Semitism. They even the Jewish Institute, it was a rabbi even did the fucking study. He even found, he looked at a lot of the cases of accusations against Labour Party leaders and various apparatchiks. And he found that actually the accusations hardly had any evidence to support them. Correct. There were no recordings, no documentation, nothing. It was just false accusation.
None that appears in the media. People still going Labour.
No, I'll say it again. I'll quickly repeat it. Look, where were the anti-Semitism hunters when Theresa May and Boris Johnson were supporting far-right anti-Semitic Nazi paramilitaries in the Ukraine, and when they were cozying up to Saudi Arabia, which only 3 or 4 years ago allowed Jews to even enter the country? Where was they then? Where were they coming out and saying Boris Johnson's an anti-Semite?
Because Britain, Israel and Saudi Arabia are one country.
But we don't. We only applied to Jeremy Corbyn, because Jeremy Corbyn was a threat to the establishment.
Yes,
he was a genuine threat to the establishment. Not in the way these right-wing hystericals somehow think Donald Trump is a threat
soft left
to the establishment. He's about as establishment as it gets. He might be an outsider from the normal corridors of power, but he's definitely a part. We're swimming in propaganda in Britain. It's like George Orwell.
Which country isn't?
It's like George Orwell said. This is a nation asleep. And he says, I'm afraid I think it'll only be awoken by the sound of bombs. And I see his point. It's apparently only during wartime that Britain gets into gear and then will fight something like the Nazis and do something good for the world. But look, that's a brief chapter in an otherwise long history of crimes against humanity. All right? I talk about just after World War II, Britain was involved. Excuse you. I was just going to say, after World War II, Britain was involved in at least 3 different conflicts that supported totalitarianism against democracy. I'll give the example of Iran, where the MI6 worked with the CIA to oust a democratically elected leader in Iran in the 1950s.
56.
Mossadegh of Iran, all because he wanted to nationalize Iranian oil. He wanted Iran's oil to belong to Iran and not to the Anglo-Iranian oil company. He wanted to belong to Iran, and he got rid of. The British MI6 got involved in that. You go read Stephen Dorrell. Stephen Dorrell is the leading student of MI6 in this country. He wrote a book called MI6. If you want to understand that very glamorized, romanticized, shadowy kind of organization, try and have a look at that book MI6 to see what it really is like. And now there's a lot of propaganda. Daniel bloody Craig has now come out and he's accepted to become an honorary commander in the Royal Navy, which is what James Bond's title is in the books, if I'm not mistaken. That's the level there is between Hollywood and the military-industrial complex. There's a close link. They don't do this stuff by mistake. It's a complete propaganda. People watch Daniel Craig getting up to his hijinks, or whatever, Sean Connery, whoever, and then they get a rather sort of romanticized view of what the MI6 is about. MI6 is a very bloody. It's basically a
sinister group of fascists.
The British government
represent the UK.
British government didn't even want to admit MI6 existed until John Major came out and said it. They didn't even want to admit it existed. And now there is some documentation from MI5. There are some files from MI5. There's not a single declassified file from MI6. Not a single one. And why is this not discussed? Why? It's a fascinating
subject. Because the media is the establishment as well, basically. They play the left-right game. I used to think the media was open when I was 25, 30, but life's taught me. Most journalists get well paid to stretch a story. They don't go for the truth.
Do you know what it is? It works like this, guys.
You know?
This is how it works. People think that society is like a pyramid, where the rich are on top and everybody else is sort of like working for the rich, right? Making money for them or serving them, and it kind of goes up like a pyramid. And you've got the 1% and then the 99%. That's not really quite how it works. How it works is a bit more different. It's a bit more like a Roman temple. There are columns of support, right? And each one is a different pillar of the establishment. You've got MI6, MI5 over here. You've got the media over here. Church of England used to serve a purpose in regulating people and keeping them in line. Not anymore, because no one goes to church. You have the monarchy, you have the House of Lords, the House of Parliament. They all support. Any one of these pillars can be shaken and brought over to the side of freedom and democracy. It doesn't have to be all supporting the corrupt power structure we live under. I'd say the most dangerous one is the City of London, the bankers, the financial oligarchs who run this country. They're the worst. So yeah, I'm not here at Speaker's Corner to say I hate Britain. I love Britain. This gentleman over here accused me of saying that I thought everything about Britain was bad, and now he's on his phone because he doesn't want to listen to me. Well, I explicitly made it clear that I don't think British people are bad. British people are great. If you want to meet, we're going to meet him.
Well, you've got to be a better speaker then.
You've got to shout a bit louder. Can you talk about sex?
Sex.
Yeah, you've got to.
I don't.
This is the chief wrecker
I
of Hyde
can't
Park.
talk about something I don't know.
Give him a break.
He's been here longer than me.
40 years. You're an institution.
I'm probably the oldest.
No, Ian's been coming here for 50 years.
Right.
Ian
You
used to
can
come here on his
deal
dad's shoulders.
You're